Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. Hello to all my loyal listeners. I hope you're having a fabulous day. To anyone new here, a warm welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. Do me a favor, if you enjoy this video, smash that like button and consider subscribing. Also, if you want to hear me talk about true crime using the words that say it like it is, you know, the M word, the S word for unaliving, then please consider a membership or a Patreon membership. If I can get enough of those, then I don't have to rely on the ad revenue, and you can get tea of bed crime stories uncensored. Now, with all that out of the way, let's dig in. I'm going to start off with that picture, the photo of a child that looks a heck of a lot like Sebastian. That photo was taken in North Carolina. We now know that Seth Rogers has no idea who the blonde woman in that photo is. However, a source close to Seth told me that he does think that the child is Sebastian, and I pray that it is, and that he can soon be back with Seth. The other news is that a man who lives in Florida called into T-Rev 757. He said he's Chris Proudfoot's cousin. Of course, the audience only heard his voice, and it doesn't appear that T-Rev had a chance to vet the guy before letting him speak. So this person is unverified. With that in mind, listen to what he said.
Hello? What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
Listen, man, I've been trying to get in touch with you. This is Chris Proudfoot's cousin.
Okay. Talk to me, brother.
I wanted to tell you a little bit about Chris.
Okay.
I'm literally his blood cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Florida. I 100% believe he did it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why we don't talk as family. Chris, when he was younger, used to abuse animals. Okay? He was weird. You want me to stop?
No.
Never mind. They don't want me to say nothing, man.
Who don't want you
Is my name anonymous on this?
Are you anonymous on?
I'm already probably in too deep. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, you're in deep, brother. I don't know what are you talking about? What this?
Yeah, Chris is weird, man. Chris is weird. He's my blood cousin. He's weird, dude. Period.
Damn.
Half of my family don't talk to him. He is totally weird. I can just tell you this because I know him and his girl. They're both really weird. I don't care if they were in the Navy, whatever. Let me tell you something. They are both narcissists. They are both whacked out of their minds. All they do is they lie constantly, always have, to the entire family, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Chris's mom's the same way. My aunt, she's psycho. She's nuts. But I'm just letting you know that this dude would literally pull frogs apart, stick dead frogs in his mouth when we were younger, all types of crazy, nasty crap. He's weird, dude.
Frogs in his mouth?
Oh, yeah. When we were younger. Oh, yeah. Dude, let me just tell you this. We were 15 years old. He pooped on a mouse, and he walked around with it on a stick and smelled it. That's how weird Chris is. Smelling a pooped mouse that he pooped on.
That's crazy.
In front of like 4 other dudes.
Guys, I think this is one of the weirdos out in the world who thinks it's funny and amusing to call in and pretend to be a cousin of Chris Proudfoot's. Now, I didn't play the whole clip because he makes some accusations against Katie Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot that as of today are not true. There are no charges in this case. I do believe there's a place in the afterlife, down low if you know what I mean, for this guy if he is lying, and I think he's going to be miserable for eternity. Shame on him. Moving on to a lady named Terry Lynn, who has a YouTube channel, and she spoke to Chris Proudfoot by phone approximately 1 month ago, which means that Sebastian at that point had been missing for 4 weeks. Terry Lynn spoke to Chris for 3 hours, which is somewhat shocking to me because you'd think he wouldn't want to talk that long with a stranger who was asking him the hard questions, although he did speak on Web Sleuths for about 3 hours, and also he spoke to Katie on the night Sebastian went missing for 3 hours. 3 hours appears to be the magic number with him. Maybe because he travels for work and he's so often away from home, he's used to talking for long stretches of time with family members. Personally, I could not stand a 3-hour phone call. I mean, I know I did that when I was like 13 and was talking to boys or girlfriends, but not now. Terry mentioned that she feels that Chris Proudfoot prefers talking to women who are not strong because he can control the narrative. It's very interesting because when he was on the Web Sleuth show, I felt he came across as a misogynist. I did not get the impression he likes women very much, despite him being married 5 times. It's easy to imagine Chris Proudfoot saying to Katie, "Woman, get me the gravy and put it on the mashed potatoes." And to be honest, I felt sorry for Katie Proudfoot for marrying such a man. And I felt even more sorry for Sebastian, who found himself with this guy as a stepdad. Now, Terry Lynn lives in Tennessee, and she's got intel on the Proudfoots from their neighbors. Allegedly, of course, we don't know for a fact, but it sounded pretty legitimate. Just like with Web Sleuths, Chris did not come away from his long conversation looking like a good guy. Chris was at times belligerent and at others a purring little kitty, almost flirting with Terry Lynn. He seemed to find her amusing. By the way, as he spoke to her, his wife Katie was sleeping, and I wonder how she feels if she's listened to this, because her husband says multiple times, "Terry, we should have had this conversation in person." Terry asked Chris why he and Katie did not attend vigils for Sebastian. Chris replied that he and Katie were with law enforcement for one of those vigils, and that's why they weren't there. Chris also told Terry that he treats Sebastian like his own biological child. Terry retorted, "BS," and still Chris remained on the line. Chris spoke about Sebastian during the call, and he did so with zero emotion. He shared, once again, that Sebastian has a tendency to invade other people's personal space, and this has alienated his classmates at school. Apparently, Sebastian once asked Santa for friends. It's so sad. Terry also called Chris out for a rather insensitive Facebook post he made when people were speculating that he could have dumped Sebastian somewhere in a construction site and covered him over with concrete. Take a listen.
Look, I do have a weird question for you. What the hell did you write this stupid shit? That is really just, to me, I don't know what to think of it, but I do. The idea that someone hurt Sebastian and threw him into a wet, fresh paved driveway is funny. Ain't nothing funny about that, by the way.
Sure it is, because if you understand...
No, it's not.
Concrete. Hold on. You're asking me. I'm trying to give you an answer.
Your words.
So either let me answer...
No, you're going to let me finish reading this. To bury a body in concrete, it would need to be at least 12 inches thick. Secondly, you have to smooth out the concrete and finish it before it's dried. All of that is done while the concrete is poured and being set.
Correct.
I don't even think like that. You shouldn't have.
Because I'm in the construction
I know you're in
business.
construction, but it doesn't matter. Why are we even thinking like this, man? What the hell?
Because I'm laying the facts out for somebody who doesn't understand it. That's real simple.
That's real.
Your average driveway is only 4 inches thick in concrete.
Okay, you don't even have to go any further. I don't even understand why we're even having the conversation.
You brought it up. I'm just
because
giving
you
you an
wrote
answer.
the shit. That's just crazy,
Because
though.
of what somebody put on there, I gave them an answer.
What a callous man. I mean, he's talking about a kid that he claims is like a biological son to him. It's like he thinks it's funny. And Chris laughs a lot during the entire call, which feels so inappropriate, given that he and Terry are talking about his missing stepson, who at that point, again, had only been missing for 4 weeks. And listen to what Chris says about Sebastian at age 15 wearing pull-ups to school.
Did he ever have to sit in urine?
Say again now?
Urine in a pull-up?
At our house, at school? Can I get a little bit more specifics?
I was unaware that he even wore pull-ups.
Yes, so here, let me bring you up to speed on that deal. Sebastian has pull-ups that he wears because Sebastian likes to pee in his pants and defecate in his pants. It has become a problem at school to the point where they've actually had to say something to us. So we even told him, look, either you figure out how to go to the bathroom or you're going in pull-ups. And for the longest time, there had sprouts where he would do what he was supposed to do, and then, he wouldn't.
Did you hear him say Sebastian likes to pee and go to the bathroom in his pants? Likes to do that? To me, that behavior is the result of trauma. Something is wrong and Sebastian's upset. It's not that he likes doing it. For a guy who seems to think he knows it all, he doesn't know squat. I see this as an older person picking on a little kid. He's a bully. Chris Proudfoot is a bully, in my opinion. And if that were my child, I wouldn't want my kid living in a house with a man like that. You will be living with lifelong problems with your child if you expose him to somebody like this. Terry then brought up Chris's alleged violent tendencies and his third ex-wife, Rachel. And apparently Rachel spoke out about Chris's alleged violent behavior. Terry also asked about another of Chris's ex-wives named Vanessa. And it sounds like Vanessa may have also said that Chris displayed violent behavior and possible DV. Allegedly, we don't know. I'm not accusing Chris of anything. The first rule of being a YouTuber in true crime, cover thy arse. Chris vehemently denied ever laying his hands on a female, and he kept demanding that Terry move on. He did not want to talk about this. This is clearly a touchy subject with him, so I think there may be some truth to it. Allegedly. Terry also asked Chris if he was dishonorably discharged from the Navy. Chris replied, nope. When he was asked why he wouldn't let his 6-year-old daughter, Faith, around Sebastian, Chris did not deny this. He said it was for, quote, family reasons. I'm going to speculate here and tell you that I believe Chris was doing this because he feared Sebastian, after being SA'd himself when he was just 8, would turn around and do it to another child. It makes me sick to think that Chris may have been shaming Sebastian for being a victim of SA, especially since this happened under his and Katie's watch. Terry then asked if Chris ever referred to Sebastian using what she called the R word, as in RETARDED. Apparently, some of the Proudfoot neighbors have said that they heard Chris call Sebastian by this most offensive term. Chris denied ever doing this. Terry asked him if he ever put his hands around Sebastian's neck. And Chris replied, no. Now, to me, it seems like this Terry Lynn person has spoken to people in the neighborhood and heard these things. But again, it hasn't been verified. As for the name that Chris allegedly called Sebastian, I tend to believe this, and that is because I heard him call Seth a name on another interview, and I got the feeling that Chris Proudfoot regularly engages in name-calling. Then the topic of the 2 Child Protective Services cases came up. Chris readily admitted to them, and he said they were both closed. One of those incidents was when Sebastian reported Chris's treatment of him to a teacher at school. Chris once again stated that this was Sebastian falsely reporting his stepfather, but it's Sebastian's word against Chris's word. Unfortunately, Sebastian isn't here to share his side. On another show, Chris claimed that Sebastian mentioned these things to his teacher because he wanted to try and get Chris removed from the house. I don't care what Chris says. Kids don't usually make up stories about this stuff unless they're desperate. To me, this hints at Sebastian not feeling safe at home. Can I just return for a second to the name calling? Parents calling their kid names is such a damaging thing to do. My mother always said, get the name, play the game. Meaning, if you tell your child, for example, that they're worthless, they will grow up feeling worthless. And if you tell them that they're naughty, they might just begin being naughty. When asked if he'd done anything wrong to Sebastian, Chris, of course, said no. Clearly, he doesn't think making a teenager wear pull-ups to school, possibly calling Sebastian the R word, and using a belt on a special needs child who has chromosome deletion syndrome are abusive behavior. But I beg to differ, Mr. Chris. Apparently, Chris also has cameras inside his house. I believe this is true because he sounds like a very controlling husband and father, and I get the feeling that he made Sebastian feel like he was a guest in Mr. Chris's home. So he better behave, and he better learn to leave Mr. Chris's stuff alone. Chris talked about his daughter Faith, who apparently is 6 years old now, and it sounds like he's an ultra-strict parent with both her and with Sebastian. He doesn't allow the kids to go on social media, which many people would likely agree with. He said they can go on that when they're 18. Chris also confirmed that the last time he saw Sebastian was the first part of February. He refused to give an exact date. If this is true, I wonder how involved he really was in Sebastian's life. Sounds like Chris is away from home a lot. It also makes me wonder if Katie feels alone and neglected at times, or if she is happy to have her man away that much. You know how some women who spend a lot of time at home say that once their husbands retire, they're suddenly there all day. They don't really like it. It's like too much time together. Maybe Katie thrives while Chris is away. Maybe even the mice play when the cat's away. One of the positive things to come out of this long 3-hour discussion is that Chris shared some insight into Sebastian's personality. And apparently Sebastian prefers fish to meat, which makes perfect sense because we heard that he ordered salmon for dinner at the Texas Roadhouse on the Sunday before he disappeared. Chris also said that Sebastian likes sushi, tofu, and sweets. A little guy after my own heart. I'm gonna send him the biggest bag of gummy bears I can find when he comes home alive and well. By the way, Katie and Sebastian had cats before Katie married Chris. Chris, who's allergic, told Katie, "It's either me or the cats." Now, I know what I would do in that situation, especially when it comes to Chris Proudfoot, and I think you know what I would do too. But apparently Katie made a deal with the devil, and she agreed to swap out her cats for Mr. Chris. As they say, you can't fix stupid. I'm kidding, not. I think we can all agree that Sebastian would likely have voted for the cats over Chris as well. Now, Chris laughed when Terry said he should be out searching for Sebastian. Chris said, "How do you know we're not?" And he talked about having posters made, billboards posted, and flyers printed and shared. And he claims he and Katie are indeed searching. But what it sounds like is that when Chris travels for his work, he then says that he was searching in that area. For example, he said he was working in Mississippi, and he said he searched in Mississippi. Listen to Terry Lynn's exchange with Chris on this topic of him putting boots to the ground.
You need a beer or something. Take your glass of wine. You'll be all right. Take something. Because, listen, why wouldn't you want to search for him?
So I didn't say I wouldn't search for him. So if that's what you're insinuating,
That's just what I said.
Exactly
That's exactly what I just said. I'm not laughing. I'm for real.
So here's what I'm telling you. Just because what y'all don't see...
There's no y'all. I'm one person. There's not 10 people
Okay,
inside
okay.
here.
All right,
I'm
you're
married.
right. Hold on. Let me change my statement. Just because you don't see what I or my wife doesn't mean anything. Because you're not holding her hands, you're not walking side by side, you don't know what we've done or what we haven't done.
What are you doing?
Well, we've got signs that were made that we got scattered across the state. We've got flyers out there. We've got people helping do billboards.
I've seen the I've seen the 2 billboards. I've seen those.
Well, you've only seen 2, but I can tell you there's a lot more than that because there were 7 from Memphis to Nashville on I-40 and 240.
I'll check that out tomorrow.
Okay.
I've helped with the flyers.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And I've had other people helping with those flyers as well.
I wish we could thank everybody. We've tried, but if you see them, you say thank you from the family, but we appreciate it.
There's tons of people that are doing that. You've got them in Australia. You've got them all across the nation.
Yes, we do. We actually have them across the world.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. You've got Australia.
In Australia.
No, I know. They're right. I have those people doing it. I know. I know.
How about UK?
Yes. Yes. And Canada. I've got truck drivers doing it as well. Yeah.
How'd you get Canada?
How do you mean? How did I get them?
How are you doing in Canada?
It's not hard.
Right, so I'm just asking and you can't answer my question.
What do you mean? They pass them out. They live there.
Okay.
Do you not know where all my people come from?
No, I don't follow everybody's Facebooks and YouTubes and shit.
How are you doing, Canada?
Well, simple, because I know of a motor coach industry company that's doing help, and they're helping us get them in Spanish and in French and distribute it all the way across Canada.
Yes,
their driver stops across their buses.
Correct. We've got everywhere. We've got Canadians.
No, we do, not y'all. We do,
no, sir. This is a united thing. We.
Well, see, when people want to say that we don't do anything, and they're referring to me and my wife,
I said we
that's
as in all. We as in all. I don't know what you mean.
You're insinuating that we haven't been searching. That's what you insinuated, and you've already admitted to that.
I'm saying your feet hit the ground.
Yes, my feet have hit the ground several times.
So what areas have you been searching? I'm just curious.
So I've been out in Jackson. I've been out toward the Alamo. I've been to Memphis. I've been in Lakehorn, Mississippi. I mean, how far do you want to go? I have been out there.
As long
so is my wife.
I'm going to leave it there for today. I will leave a link to this video, so if you want to listen to the entire 3-hour call, you can. And I'll see you next time on Bed Crime Stories. Love you guys.